Hello everyone, what is going on? My name is Timpedia. Welcome to the almost yearly vlog for September 3rd, 2021. It has been quite a long time since I appeared on camera, so I wanted to take a few minutes when I had some extra time this morning before work and give you guys a short update on why there's been so few videos. Even the podcast has been not coming out as much, and just kind of give an update on where I'm at and why things have been so quiet for like a year now. So last year, or back in 2019, right before COVID started, my then fiance and I, she's come up on the podcast many times, my now wife Val, we were living in Ohio, and she got a job offer back here in New Jersey, and we were offered the chance by some of her family to live in a house around here once it was renovated, which was supposed to be a pretty quick project. So we jumped at the chance to be near family. We were getting married at the time, and we were eager to be back here near people for a little while, and then who knows. But so she came back here in the end of 2019. Cut to 2020, I spent most of the year looking for jobs back here. I didn't think I'd be able to take my job remote, and it got to the 2 weeks before our, obviously COVID hit, and we had to shift our real wedding, our big party, to this year, the end of July, just a month ago. But we still wanted to go ahead and get married, so we did a backyard event at the end of August last year. Cut to middle of August, I'm still looking for a job. I go to my boss, and he says, "Oh, you can work remote," which was wonderful. Came back, we got married, and over the course of 2020, my in-laws had promised, "Oh, it's just a few months. The house won't take too long." COVID kept going, getting worse, and supplies started getting more expensive. My in-laws, who were working on it, had other things to take care of, and the house was in much worse shape than anybody thought. So for a year now, since I came back, almost 2 years for my wife, we have been living in my in-laws' attic. It is not a conducive place to recording. I set aside one night every other week to try to do the podcast, and I still hang out online with people, mostly my D&D crew, the guys from the podcast, but it's not conducive to me sitting down for an hour and a half and talking over myself playing a video game. Especially because while I was originally working remote for my old job and didn't have much work to do, so I could actually record during the workday, which was pretty fun. That's when things like Doom Eternal were recorded at the beginning of last year. Halo with Tyler. But now it's just, I don't feel comfortable doing it anymore. We've been here so long, and my wife, she works really early and works long hours, so I try not to be on too late to keep her up. So I don't really have my own space anymore. So this year has progressed, and as of a few months ago, we had basically just given up on moving into this house. So we thought about looking around here. Obviously, who's going to turn down a house where you don't have to pay rent? That's why we were holding on to this for so long. We were like, okay, if I was especially pushing, I was like, we can save so much money with our incomes around here, especially Northeast New Jersey, Bergen County, so expensive. If we could just hold out to wait for this house to be renovated, we will save so much money for the future. That is no longer happening. Even my in-laws eventually admitted, we're not fixing the house. It's just not happening. Things cost a lot because of COVID. It's not worth it to us anymore. Be that as it may, we need a place to live, so we have started looking for houses. As I also said before, we delayed our wedding to a month ago. So for most of the summer of this year and spring, we were prepping for this second wedding and our honeymoon and all that stuff. So again, not a conducive environment for recording, mostly just the podcast. So, cut to now, we are post honeymoon, post wedding, and we have jumped right into looking for houses. Obviously, that's a process that doesn't happen overnight. Um, and while there is not a ton we do as part of the process, that takes time to do things like home inspections and all this stuff. Currently, we have a couple options that are promising and we're looking into, but even so, it still takes a while to actually get into a place. And then we have to get all of our stuff from multiple locations that is stored in two parents' houses, a storage unit, another place has some stuff, and a pod that is sitting waiting to be finally delivered from Ohio. So, yeah, moving is going to take a minute no matter where we go. That all being said, we are looking at houses that have a space where I can set up my computer and still use it through the night like I used to. Wake up on a weekend and go to my office or whatever and use my computer while my wife is asleep instead of just having to not be on the computer because it might wake her up, and I don't want to do that because she sleeps right there. You can see the bed in the background. So yeah, that is why there has been so few videos, and that's a little life summary. For those of you who've been listening to the podcast, that's mostly, you've heard a lot of that, but for those who haven't, I promise I am not trying to be gone. I still have Let's Plays I want to do. I still want to do the Doom Eternal DLCs, even though I didn't love that game as much as a lot of people did. I still want to do Cyberpunk eventually once it's patched up enough. I still want to redo a bunch of other Let's Plays. I know that like Lord of the Rings, Third Age, and Return of the King are both season 2 of Third Age and Return of the King are both ones I really, really want to do. Looking at some of the houses we're looking at, I've already got ideas on how I'd want to set stuff up so that I could record in the future. I can't promise all that'll happen right away, especially with a mortgage payment. But thankfully, as part of, so I guess another personal update as part of this is that I actually randomly in October of last year, I was applying for jobs around here even though I was working remote for my old company, like I said, they had very little work and I still felt like I was in danger of losing my job. I was looking around and I found a job that I was overqualified for, interviewed for it, and then a week later got a call from the president of the company saying, hey, the guy who interviewed you is leaving. What about taking his job? And I jumped at that, and that job is actually going really well. I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'm doing really well. So that's awesome. The flip side is it's a job that means I have to travel sometimes to go to our other factory. Sometimes I have to travel. I'm in the near future, once COVID finally slows down, if it ever does, I'm probably going to be traveling to customers occasionally and things like that. So YouTube is never going to be the same, but I still see it as this thing I want to do, especially with my friends, to have this awesome archive of stuff that we've done together. Like the SWAT LP is still one of my favorite things just because it's the four of us just fucking around, hanging out together. So that's awesome. But yeah, so I just wanted to get in front of the camera for the first time in a long time. OBS didn't even have a camera setting anymore. But videos are coming back as soon as I get into a house and set myself up. I really want to start doing videos again, and even live streams maybe, but it's never going to be as much as it used to be. That's just how things go. I'm an adult with a real job now. I'm not a kid slacking off at school by recording videos all day, every day for an hour of content every day. But I'm still wanting to do videos. I know the channel is basically dead, but it still means something to me. So for those of you who do watch this, thank you so much for hanging out for all these years. Yeah, I'll see you guys probably on the next podcast episode, and hopefully in some actual videos in the near future. See you later.